Hi everybody. Today I'm going to show you some things I've learned about my wood burning stove that I thought I'd share with people. When I first got this years ago, I had some troubles with starting fires in my stove. So you can see it has a stack that goes up 2 feet and then turns at a relatively close to 90-degree angle with just a little bit of a rise here before it goes into my chimney stack behind the wall. So I used to have a heater down here, and I moved my heater to the other room and redid my basement and had a wood burning stove put in. So this has introduced some difficulty in me starting a fire that I've learned. And when I first started fires in my house, I smoked my basement a lot of times, and I had no idea why. Now I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you have to warm it up, all that kind of stuff." That is true, and that's what I'm going to show you a little bit of today. But also, it's not just about warming it up. In my case, I'm in my basement, and because I have a turn in my stack here, the cold air, I've learned, sits in not only in my chimney, but because this is not a straight run like a fireplace would be directly up the chimney stack, cold air sits in here and is hard to move through, even just by heating it up. So what I've learned is there could be a vacuum that occurs, and you get back pressure in your house, which keeps the air down and does not let it flow even when it's heating up. And I've learned from talking to a bunch of chimney guys and fireplace guys. So the one thing I do is I come over to my door in my basement and I open the window a crack, and I open my flue all the way open. And I leave this for 15 minutes before I start the fire. And what that does is it equalizes the pressure in my house. So I can when I heat the air up, a draw is actually created and starts. So the hot air can actually move through my flue and create a draw to move the air through. And so the cold air does not force my smoke back into the house. So I'm going to show you my method. I first have opened up the door to my chimney for 15 minutes, open the flue, and open my window a crack to allow my back pressure to equalize. And now I will show you the method that I use for heating up my fireplace before I start a fire. So you can see I crumple up all these papers here, and the whole idea is to get the fire as hot as you can with as much oxygen as you can get to it in order to heat up that flue enough to allow a draw to occur up your chimney. So I'm going to just keep lighting all of these pieces of paper and let them burn really hot for a while, and then I will attempt to start my fire, and then we'll see if there's any smoke that occurs in the house. So here goes paper number one. You can see it's burning pretty well. And I'm just going to keep feeding this thing crumpled up pieces of newspaper. Another tip I learned is to store your newspaper in your house. Do not store it outside. It will get too much moisture in it. And then when you burn your newspaper like I'm doing now, it'll get a lot of smoke. So store your newspaper inside your house so it does not get too much moisture outside. So you see there's a little bit of smoke coming out right here. I can close your door a tiny bit, but if I close it all the way, it will just back out and create a smoke bomb inside my fireplace. So I do tend to keep it open. Even if a little tiny bit of smoke comes back out, I want this air from the room to come and give lots of oxygen to this fire that I'm starting just with newspaper. So the whole point of this is not to start my fire yet, but it's just to heat the air in my chimney. So a little bit of smoke comes out, a little more than I want. I'll close it off a little bit. And now I'm just going to keep feeding it. So you do see a tiny bit of smoke coming out up here, but it's just what I need to do to prevent a crazy amount of smoke, which would occur if I did not do this. You can see now the smoke is not at all coming in and is going up the flue. At this point, this is heated up pretty good, so I'm going to start the actual fire. I usually use these fire starters from Duraflame. It's usually the easiest thing to do for me. I've used other ones that just don't light very well. So I'll show you my technique here. So I'll usually start off with some couple pieces crisscross. Put some lighter wood. This is scraps I have from working on the house underneath and I put that over top of the fire starter, and I let this start to catch. And then once that starts to catch, I'll just close everything up. So I'll crack my door most of the way. Close my door most of the way, I should say. And I'll start that with the flue completely open still. I'll allow that to start to burn. And that should be good enough to get my fire starter lit, and then start igniting that smaller pieces of wood that I crisscrossed over top. So once this is caught really well, and it gets a good roll on it, you want to let the rolling fire, so by rolling means really hot flames that are really strong, and they are roll at the top of your fireplace. You would let that occur, for a good 5-10 minutes probably. So once this heats up and it starts to get a rolling fire going, then I'll start to lower the flue, and I'll probably add a little more wood, a little more fuel to it. And then I get a fire going. So you can see now, this is pretty good. So I close my door all the way because I don't want any more oxygen from the house to be coming in. You can see it is from the initial newspaper, there is a tiny bit of haze in the room from a little bit of the smoke that came out. But once that newspaper caught and it lit up really hot, it really moved the air inside there. Now what I found was if I didn't open my window for a good 15 minutes before, even though I was doing the same method, all of the smoke from the newspaper would just blow and billow into my house. So I hope you guys found this helpful, and I hope it helps you if you had the same problem. Peace.